2-0. Production panel does agree with me. I'm not sure if Sid agrees as well, though.
All right, am I audible now? Yeah, it
Yes.
seems to be working. Okay, so this is game two of the first Challenger Cup, and this is Invisible Wings versus Beyond Infinity. And just 1 second, guys, while I fix my mic once again. Yeah, I'm sorry, CloudX, you were saying?
Your prediction, man. Who's coming out ahead here?
These two teams have faced off against each other time and time again. This is not the first time they're facing off in the finals of a tournament. Sure, the tags are different, but it's the same 10 players time and time again. And while Beyond Infinity did take game one, not too comfortably, but it was a decisive victory. But I mean, I really don't have any clear favorites when it comes to game two. It could go either way, but uh, personally, I am leaning towards Beyond Infinity's side just a tad bit.
All right, so they've learned from their mistakes. They're going to ban out the Draw Ranger on the side of Invisible Wings. They've even banned out the Lion and first picked the Elder Titan. Now, this is a no-chance signature hero. The Elder Titan getting picked up by Invisible Wings, however. So let's see who's going to run for them. Well, Beyond Infinity, they've banned out the Shadow Demon and the Void. Standard stuff coming out from them. They've left their standard ban, a.k.a. the Batrider, still in the pool. So I'm curious to see if they go for it themselves or if they're going to go for something like the Venge and the Beastmaster opening duo.
Yeah, they could definitely go for the Batrider and maybe follow that up with the second pick Oracle just to deny Invisible Wings that pick, or they could just ban the Oracle out later. But I like the fact that Invisible Wings has actually started out with the Elder Titan this time and have banned out the Drow Ranger as well. I think in the first game, Invisible Wings thought that they wouldn't really need to ban the Drow Ranger because they'd be able to deal with it, and they thought they had drafted accordingly. But I think one crucial mistake they made in the last game was that they didn't manage to snag the Elder Titan. This hero is just a hero that offers you so much. He's great when it comes to rush fights, can pretty much stop pushes on his own. The Earth Splitter is a ridiculous amount of damage. And hey, even if you don't do anything and just stand around, the natural order just wrecks the opposition.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, but we're seeing some new faces coming out here. Bane gonna be picked up by Invisible Wings as the second pick. Slaughter and Venge, the opening duo for Beyond Infinity. Again, they've got that source of initiation with the Blink and the Crush, alternatively with the swap. We should see Zerisbug playing the defensive Vengeful Spirit once again. Time and again, we've seen him bailing out his cores with that swap. Let's see if he can keep the momentum going. While Bane from Invisible Wings has left me scratching my head. Are we going to see a Mirana coupled up with this, or are we just going to see something completely new coming out?
Yeah, but it does seem that Invisible Wings have taken a different route this time around. They've gone with the Elder Titan and the Bane. The Bane definitely seems to be a smart pick. It's not a hero we see too often, but when it comes to single target lockdown, I think it doesn't really get any better than the Bane. But then again, you still have the Vengeful Spirit to deal with the Bane. If he does manage to get his ultimate off on a hero, you could just swap that hero out or cancel it out yourself. This does seem to be an off-lane Slardar, however. It's Beyond Infinity are known for running this hero time and time again. But they have banned out the Storm Spirit themselves this time, so they're not looking to go for it a second time around.
Yeah, well, one reason that I can think of for getting that Bane is, well, I've already mentioned the Mirana. Another reason is if Beyond Infinity was thinking of going for the Life Sealer with the Infest Bomb, having that Fiend's Grip and Enfeeble to go through Magic Immunity does seem like a good tool, but it is a very preemptive pick coming out from Invisible Wings. I mean, I'm pretty certain they would have got Bane even if they waited till, I don't know, 4th or 5th.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I mean, I don't think even in their wildest dreams would Beyond Infinity have thought of banning the Bane out.
Yeah, but I mean, it is a curveball. It gets Beyond Infinity thinking. They're going to be wondering what's going to be coming out here if that's a Bane second pick. Or do they have something up their sleeves that we're not aware of? But for now, they're going to go with the tried and tested. They've seen that the Templar Assassin has been banned. The Puck will not have a very difficult time in the middle lane, regardless of who shows up against him. And they're going to pick it up as their third one. So lots of control coming in with the Dream Coil. Lots of evasion and mobility as well with the phase shift, not to mention the silence. Allows them some plenty of team fight control and CC.
And not to mention, it's just another way to deal with the Bane. I think what's happened now is because of a second pick Bane, Beyond Infinity has actually been left with 3 picks to try and make sure that the Bane doesn't really do too well. But yeah, you did mention the Mirana, and Invisible Wings could definitely pick up a Mirana once again. Maybe not in the off-lane role this time, but a mid Mirana I think is something we've seen Crowley run earlier, and there is definite synergy with the Bane. I mean, a roaming Bane could definitely set up for an arrow, which could convert into an easy kill. So let's see how they decide to play things.
The thing about drafts from teams like Beyond Infinity is you've really got to read between the lines to see what they've got up their sleeves, right? Because just last game, we saw them picking up an Omni Knight as their last pick, along with Avenge, and I mean, Vivek and me were just criticizing the draft for the most part, saying that, oh, you know what, maybe they don't have the tools needed to fight. The Storm has no synergy, no backup with maybe a Lifestealer to invest into him. How does Beyond Infinity play this one out? But what we didn't quite see is the fact that the Storm and the Tide Hunter really pose a threat when it comes to initiation, while the Drow Ranger and the Venge with the auras just pummel away at the towers, daring, almost inviting Invisible Wings to come and fight them on their own terms. This time around as well, I'm sure Beyond Infinity has something planned. I'm curious to see what it's going to be as the draft starts to reveal itself now. We will see a Slog coming out as the third pick from Invisible Wings.
Actually, looking back, I actually think this might be an off-lane Elder Titan, not a support Elder Titan, because an Elder Titan and a Bane support, it's not really a lane-winning duo, I'd say.
I mean, the only synergy I see here is that both heroes put their opponents to sleep, but that doesn't quite help. It's definitely a confirmed way of connecting the Storm.
Apart from ensuring the opponent hero takes a long, hard nap, I don't really think they can accomplish too much. And we have actually seen A35 play an offlane Elder Titan quite a few times in the past. Not recently given the recent meta, but it's a hero he's comfortable with, and he's definitely played a lot. So I think this might just be an offlane Elder Titan.
Yeah, it's something that I wouldn't put past them either. But again, I'm still trying to think of what synergy these two, if they are going in the support role, what synergy could they possibly bring? I mean, you Nightmare, you connect an Echo Storm, then what? I mean, Bane's got pure damage with the Brain Sap. Pure damage does not really bother with magic resistance either. So the Natural Order aura will not play a factor in that, well, in those two heroes making a play.
And given how Invisible Wings actually draft for their players, Evil Ash is generally given a support that is extremely active, has roaming potential, can actually set up for kills, and both these heroes don't really accomplish much when it comes to that effect. He plays much better when he's given heroes like the Witch Doctor, the Lion, the Earthshaker. Not to mention he's a player who I'd say is very adept at finding farm even on supports. And how often has he surprised us with like a 14-minute blink tagger on one of his supports? Even in the previous game, I mean, he just showed up in the middle lane with a blink tagger on his Lion and completely destroyed. Was it the Storm Spirit in the middle lane?
Yeah, it was a Storm. But so Beyond Infinity though, they've got themselves the Kunkka, and if Evil Ash is the one on Invisible Wings that gets absurd amounts of farm, No Chance is the one that makes most of the plays with minimal amounts of farm on the side of Beyond Infinity. What I'm worried about here for Beyond Infinity, Venge and Kunkka, yes, there's a lot of killing potential, lots of roaming potential, but I don't see that babysitting potential with these two heroes. They're going to need a core that can handle his own. And there we go. Invisible Wings gets the Darks here. This is almost as if playing straight into the BI trap. The X marks the spot. One of the best ways to deal with the Darks here who's trying to surge away.
Beyond Infinity, you know, I have to say, they're not really trying to throw too many curveballs. This is pretty much their standard approach to drafting. Sure, they have gone for the Slada this time around, but I mean, over the past 6 months, we've seen them really prioritize the Kunkka, and I mean, it has paid off really well. They've had a great run in quite a few tournaments in the past. And the Vengeful Spirit, they had success with this hero in the last game, so there's no reason to ignore that hero this time around. And they've actually last banned the Viper. Are they trying to bait Invisible Wings into banning out the Lifestealer so they can get the carry of their choice, or is this just Beyond Infinity's way of ensuring that they get a Lifestealer themselves?
I think they're going to go for the Lifestealer anyway, but as an alternative, the Juggernaut is still in the pool. So that could be their choice. More Rosh takedown potential with the Juggernaut healing ward. Already, you've got the Slaughter with the amp damage and the Venge with the armor reduction. There it is. The Lifestealer has been banned out. Beyond Infinity almost as if baiting their opponents to do it, like you said. Invisible Wings, looking to claim their middle lane hero. It's going to be Crowley's hero. He's drafting it for himself. And really, the weight of the world on his shoulders here in Game 2.
I think it might just be a 5th pick Invoker. It is one of Crowley's go-to heroes. It has great synergy with the supports on their side.
I can't argue with that, man. A 5th pick Invoker. It's been left out to dry. Invokers in the pool. Sunstrike on the Bane, Nightmare. Sunstrike onto the Echo Storm Sleep. Lots of synergy there with the supports, like you said. And also in the late game phase, there's always that eye candy sort of setup with the wall vacuum into a Meteor if it does happen. It'll be the Juggernaut, so we were wrong. It's going to be a mid-Juggernaut coming out from Invisible Wings. Beyond Infinity looking for... And, well, they're looking for a carry of their own. That'll be Blizzard's hero, I assume. We have seen Blizzard run the Mirana. It's possibly going to be a Blizzard Mirana coming out here. Or if they want to go
It could be
greedy,
a Mirana, but then your primary source of damage up until the 15-20 minute mark would be the Slarda, and I think that's just too many eggs to put in one basket. Yeah, harder carry. Yeah, definitely a I was actually thinking they might go for an anti-mage, but yeah, I think the Terrorblade somewhat accomplishes what they want to do with their last pick.
Yeah, these last pick Terrorblades, man. The Illusion Army when you're least prepared for it. But ladies and gentlemen, we're getting into game 2 of this best of 3 grand final. Beyond Infinity taking on Invisible Wings. If Invisible Wings can take this one, we're going to game 3. If not, Beyond Infinity will walk away 1.5 lakh richer.
Now, on a personal note, I'd love to see Invisible Wings take this one, only because it means we'd get to see a game 3. But, I mean, all biases and sort of personal opinions aside, based on the draft alone, whom do you think has the upper hand in this game?
Purely on the draft, I'm going to say Beyond Infinity. I think, I feel like this Terrorblade last pick was, it was just a complete curveball. We were talking about the lack of curveballs from Beyond Infinity.
Yeah.
The Terrorblade, man, it's as curvy as they come.
Yeah, when it comes to curveballs, you know, I don't really think you need to trick your opponent as much as you just need to be confident in what you plan to execute. And I think that's a groove that Beyond Infinity has carved for themselves and they've managed to stick to. They very rarely throw curveballs. Even in the last game, they just picked up a standard off-lane Tide Hunter to make sure that they have a meat shield. They went with a second pick Drow, almost as if signaling that this is exactly what they wanted to do. And regardless of how hard Invisible Wings tried to counter it, it just didn't have the effect they wanted.
Yeah, it just seems like Beyond Infinity are playing like a proper 5-man unit. While Invisible Wings, they do have that going for them in the early game phase. But when it comes to the mid-game phase, Beyond Infinity just, it's like they flip a switch and it's a whole different team playing Dota on the map. Invisible Wings, you can clearly see them crumbling under the pressure when Beyond Infinity makes decisions without any hesitation. Let's see if Invisible Wings has talked this through in the break. It was a fairly long break between game 1 and game 2. And we've also got to pause on account of a disconnect now, so lots of time to strategize.
Beyond Infinity, I think they have quite a few switches they managed to click. They have their early game switch where they suddenly seem to take charge of the early game. Yeah, but there are times when that switch randomly goes off. And then they turn it back on when they lose one set of Raxes and suddenly you see them mounting these epic comebacks.
They've done it against not Fnatic. I think they did versus Orange Starring once, which was, I mean, that was, as an Indian Dota 2 fan, that was one of the best moments that I've actually been witness to.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that was the game where there were 2 Raxes down, but they still managed to win anyway, I mean.
Yeah, I don't even know how that happens, man. But the game plan here for iWings, they really don't have too much pressure to end this early. I'd say there's some pressure on Beyond Infinity to finish this one quickly. That Terrorblade, while it does scale well into the late game, with the natural aura coming out from the Elder Titan, that's going to take away all of his base armor. So really, they need to prioritize the levels on the Elder Titan on the side of Invisible Wings, and they'll have more than necessary tools to deal with Beyond Infinity's lineup.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, but the thing is, if Invisible Wings are to bring down the Terrorblade, they'll have to commit just more than one hero. Just because the Elder Titan works well against illusion-based heroes because of his natural order doesn't really mean that's all they need to take care of the Terrorblade. They definitely need to bring in the Bane and the Elder Titan together to manage to bring down the Terrorblade. And the whole point of Beyond Infinity's draft is to sort of leave the Terrorblade to his own devices, get an early blink on the Slarda and just group up as 4, get kills across the map and create as much space as you can for this Terrorblade.
Yeah.
And after he has sort of like a Manta and a Scary, there's no stopping him anyway. So
that's true. You know what I'd like to see in this game? Archmage goes for the maxed out Natural Order and maxed out Spirit build, the old school build with just 1 point at the Echo Stomp. Then you pretty much guaranteed yourself kills in the early game on that Terrorblade. There's enough physical damage coming out with the Juggernaut and the Slark, so it's definitely possible that they can bring him down.
Did you say maxing out the Natural Order and the Ancestral Spirit?
Yeah.
I think there's a reason players aren't doing that anymore. It's because Elder Titan was buffed recently, wherein the damage of Echo Stomp was boosted by 60 points. But the important thing to consider is, and what most people tend to forget, is that even though the damage was buffed up by 60, it's actually a 120 damage buff because you get 60 bonus from the hero itself and 60 bonus from where the Echo Stomp actually lands with the Spirit. So
it's also the reason why we see them put the point into it at level 1, where they basically just go in and immediately pop the Stomp. We see a lot of heroes moving towards the middle lane for that. We should see Archmage making rotations too. But let's wait and watch if Invisible Wings has well, if they are actually going to push Elder Titan mid early on, because this is a Juggernaut versus Puck lineup, and I would say that Swifty has the advantage in this lane.
I just realized we didn't introduce these teams. Not that they need an introduction, but let's just take a second to introduce them while they get settled into their lanes. So on the side of Beyond Infinity, a team that is one game up coming into this best of three grand finals of the first Challenger Cup. We have No Chance on the Kunkka, Zetisbug on the Vengeful Spirit, Blizzard on the Terrorblade, Swifty on the Puck, and Batosai on the Slada.
Right, on the other side, you've got Doxia, handled by A35 for Invisible Wings. You've got Bane, handled by Evil Ash. This is a man that we should be watching out for. We should be expecting fairly early item progression coming out from him. Juggernaut going to be handled by Crowley, going under the alias of Morbid Angel. Slock going to be played by Prophecy, aka Pandemic, and that leaves us with, last but definitely not the least, the latest addition to the team, Ingenious Archmage on the Elder Titan. So this mid matchup, not the most conventional one. Puck versus the Juggernaut. I mean, Juggernaut's not going to be too bugged by this. He does have the Perman Shield already online, so the auto attacks from Swifty shouldn't really bother him too much. However, No Chance is here to make sure that he does get bothered. He started with the boots, even has a point in the Torrent. So we should see some sort of harassment being done here. He's also going to stack up the neutral creeps.
Yeah, I don't think Crowley's going to be too peeved when it comes to a 1v1 matchup against the Puck, but I think he definitely needs to be careful of the fact that Beyond Infinity has supports that can actually augment the middle lane, whereas Invisible Wings don't really have those kind of supports. I mean, sure, your Bane could come in and put your Puck to sleep, but they don't really have any follow-up stuns that could confirm the kill.
Yeah, well, meanwhile, in the jungle, or rather towards the top side of the map, you've got Archmage scouting out the movements from this Barasai Slaughter. There's sentry walls placed down by both teams. So there aren't going to be any walls to block out this camp just yet. Unfortunately, I can't seem to have a look at the spawn boxes here, but I'm pretty certain that that sentry doesn't block out this camp. Ace Rune going to get pinged down. Archmage, I think he's going to take it actually. There's a lot of value with an Elder Titan plus haste. He did start with the Astral Spirit though to zone out the Slaughter further. But Slaughter's not going to be too bothered. He's got himself the Iron Talent now, so he can just jump straight into the jungle without showing his face on the offlane here ever again.
Yeah, I think that's what offlaners nowadays just seem to be doing. There's no real need for you to waste your time in the offlane trying to sneak in EXP whenever you can. It's just more prudent and more economical to buy an Iron Talent and jump straight into the jungle.
Yeah, well, Darkseid meanwhile suiciding to the neutrals there. He's got an Iron Talent of his own now. Archmage has revealed his position. No Chance is unwilling to leave this middle lane. Lots of pressure, lots of commitment. Looking to punish Crowley's aggression if he chooses to run down the Puck. But can No Chance's Kunkka really do anything here? I mean, if Morbid Angel runs up to him with a Blade Fury, there's really no way to stop him. In fact, look at this. He's just slicing and dicing away on Swifty's Puck. He's actually out-muscled him quite heavily in this lane. Swifty does have the salve, however. He's going to be okay.
I'm actually surprised that Beyond Infinity chose to forego any jungling supports. We see No Chance playing the Chen quite so often, and it's far too valuable when it comes to helping your mid laner win his matchup.
Yep, Archmage continuing with the harassment, throwing down that Astral Spirit, looking to send Swifty back to the fountain soon enough. Barosai, he's the one that's going to claim this stack from the jungle, farming it up with the Crush as well as the Iron Talent. But Archmage knows what's up. He's going to move into the jungle as well. Now he sees this. No more free farm for Barosai. And that's still a level 1 Elder Titan, so no Echo Stomp available at his disposal. Fairly slow start, I have to say. Uncharacteristic of both these teams. They're the ones that usually like to open fire really soon, but given that the stakes are so high, I really can't blame them for playing it safe.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Although, if I do have to call it, I think Beyond Infinity is the team that's going to draw first blood. I say this solely because they're the team that has better lockdown at this point. Magic Missile followed by a Torrent and maybe a Slytherin Crush could definitely secure a kill in any lane of their choosing.
Yeah, but I mean, the way I envision this game going is if Beyond Infinity does come out ahead, they're going to do it on the back of Slaughter's Blink Dagger. Archmage knows how important this is, which is why you see him constantly moving into the jungle. But Barasai is still looking good to get about a 15-minute Blink Dagger in the worst case, which should be good enough to get the ball rolling for Beyond Infinity. But for Invisible Wings, if they can manage to get that early farm of the Juggernaut, once he hits level 6, maybe they'll try and make a play using the Bane for the setup. Already we're seeing Evil Ash move towards bottom. Terrorblade flexing his muscles, rather spreading his wings. And starts to pound away on this tier 1 tower with Zetisbug standing on the front lines. Iron Shells from the Darkseer trying to slow this down, but that's no chance with the Invis Rune. Waiting to connect with the X mark and the Torrent.
How has the Slada been faring in the jungle?
This is... Okay, now no chance has revealed himself. Zetisbug looking to get that magic missile. He does have the boots. But this tower, not going to be long for life. Beyond Infinity looks like they're going to claim it right about now. But Invisible Wings, they want to commit to this. They're going to send another hero their way as Archmage comes in with the Echo Stomp and the Astral Spirit. The push will be thwarted. Lizard gets put to sleep, but the Iron Shells will wake him up. Casual stun thrown down from Zetisbug will not find any kills, as both teams will back away.
I think that was the only choice left to Invisible Wings. The only way they deal with these pushes is if Elder Titan is present on hand.
Yeah, but unfortunately what this does is it allows Barasai to take up the EXP and farm in the top lane. Slot's got a point in the Essence Shift though, so he can definitely muscle out the Barasai Slaughter on his own, but it made Juggernaut sent up into the air and brought down to his death courtesy Swifty's Puck. That's first blood in favor of fan favorites Beyond Infinity.
That was without any support from the Vengeful Spirit, right?
Yeah, no Venge available.
I can just imagine No Chance with a really cheeky grin on his face.
Yeah, it's hard enough to lock down on a Juggernaut, let alone with just a blind Torrent coming in from Fog. That is literally the only way they kill this Juggernaut. And they managed to find it successfully. But now Morbid Angel's going to hit level 6, which means that he does have an opportunity to find a kill. Almost impossible on the Puck at least, given that he's got the phase shift as well as the illusory orb to get away from the Omni Slash.
Terrorblade and Slark going blow for blow when it comes to CS. 40 for 6 and 40 for 23. Darkseer is actually doing surprisingly well as compared to his off-lane counterpart. Slardar is only at 12 and 0. Darkseer is actually at 35 for 0.
Yeah, but the only one that hasn't got any farm this game is No Chance to Stunka. But he does have that one assist. He's got the boots online for a while. And here we go. Evil Ash. Stunned. Sent into the air. Good dodge coming out though. That'll allow him to stay alive. Meanwhile, Barosai, he's had enough of Ingenious Archmage. Smacks him back in the face. And sends him on his way. But yeah, you kind of called it, man. Slaughter's not getting anything out of his lane. He's getting very little out of the jungle as well. While Darkseer is getting beefy. He's up to level 6. Has that, he does have the infused raindrops online as well, and at this pace, I think we're looking at a fairly quick mechanism coming out as well.
Yeah, and that actually offsets any sort of timing goals that Beyond Infinity have, because even if Slardar does manage to get a blink, now let's say he does expedite his farm and manage to get a blink tagger, chances are that by the time he does manage to get his blink tagger, Darkseer is going to have a mech, so that makes it all the more difficult for this roaming trifecta of Slardar, Vengeful Spirit, and Kunkka to actually secure any kills.
Yeah, as unfortunate as it is, there is a little more packet loss coming out this game, I believe, unless there's just a pause for some different technical issues. Invisible Wings, they're still in this. I mean, it's just first blood that's been drawn. Crowley's Juggernaut gets taken out, but he's up to level 6 now. And the only thing that's worrying me right now for Invisible Wings is the fact that there's no way to kill Swifty unless you lock him down with a Fiend's Grip. There's just no other way to lock him down long enough.
Yeah, they'll definitely have to commit pretty heavily to be unable to bring this Puck down, but if they do that, you run the risk of this Terrorblade just, going ham all over your face.
Right, it's the calm before the storm. Beyond Infinity, just prepping, waiting, getting their first few items. Once they get the Ring of Aquila and the Dragon Lance on Blizzard, it's probably when they start fighting as a 5-man unit, hoping to get Barasai some space for his Blink Tagger. And round 2 is about to commence at the bottom lane. Metamorphosis is online for Blizzard, and Invisible Wings are prepped and ready. With the Iron Shells and the Echo Stomps, they should be able to prevent this tower from going down that easily. Even Morbid Angel threatening to rotate towards bottom lane.
Yeah, and Beyond Infinity needs to play this carefully. Just because they have the Metamorphosis doesn't mean they should commit too heavily to try and bring this tier 1 tower down. Crowley does have a teleport available on hand, so if things do get out of control, he could just teleport in and sort of clean up
No
on Beyond
chance.
Infinity.
Playing ring around the rosy here. He's going to get scouted by the Spirit. Will he get put to sleep? Yep. Well, they're going to give him a short nap there. Blizzard thinking of going forward. Yes, they will. No chance. That's a good choke point to connect the Torrent, but they won't connect it anyway. They've got the reflection from the Terrorblade along with the Metamorphosis. They've got the Dream Call from Puck as well. This should be a massacre in the bottom lane. Who's going to go first? It's a double kill as Dogs here and Elder Titan hit the deck. Morbid Angel stunned up, about to be brought down. Has the spin, but is the spin enough? Swifty with a few more hits. Morbid Angel with the Blade Fury. Swifty's jump forward. Doesn't have the phase shift and he gets brought down, sliced to bits. The DD rune from Juggernaut proven to be an effective tool, but it's still a trade that's going to favor Beyond Infinity as they will claim the tier 1 tower at bottom along with a couple of kills.
They played that so well. No chance even managed to get away on a sliver of HP, but Swifty just too greedy for his own good and Crowley made him suffer for his mistakes.
Yeah, that was, I mean, it was a well-meant attempt. There's a fine line between a throw and a very good play.
I'm not even sure if that was a bait. I think that was just Swifty being far too overzealous.
Yeah, he thought he timed the Illusory Orb as soon as the Blade Fury ended, but Crowley, all he did was had to do a little sidestep to the left and he dodged it. So tier 1 is down, and that's the first tower of this game to hit the deck. The top tier 1's taken some damage on the Radiant side as well. Slark choosing not to be a part of that fight. Now, I'm wondering if he goes back for a Midas after all, or if he's just going to go for the Shadow Blade and try and make plays for his team.
Yeah, I can't really decide between whether he should go for a Midas or maybe he should go for something that allows him to be more active across the map.
One thing's for sure though, Beyond Infinity will start fighting often. That Terrorblade is getting fairly fat now, but he might be about to lose his life. But actually, it's going to be no chance that's initiated upon. Instant TP's coming out. Echo Storm connects onto 2. That should allow them the leeway to bring down No Chance's Kunkka. Zealous Buck turns around, throws a stun on 835, but that's all it's going to be. Once again, the 5 position Kunkka gets brought down. Invisible Wings will take a freebie. Doc. He doesn't have an Illusory Orb. He's dropped on the Waning Rift. Pandemic's actually doing good work here. Dream Call thrown down, but the stun's not going to be dispelled. Swifty just duking it out here with Pandemic, but that's a bad idea considering that he does have...
You can just see from Swifty's movement how confident he's feeling in this game. He knows they don't have too much in the way of direct lockdown to actually bring him down, and even if they do, they'll have to commit pretty heavily.
Yeah, but it's really, this game is in stark contrast to what we saw in Game 1. Invisible Wing seems to have found their stride. They're playing a lot more confidently this time around, forcing and pressuring towers, bearing their fangs at heroes, and here we go. We spoke about how the only way to lock down Swifty is using the Fiend's Grip, and that's exactly what Evil Ash will deploy to get the kill.
Yeah, not to mention this time around, Invisible Wings actually have the dire advantage as well.
All that thought mid, Omni Slash into Blade Fury. Crowley makes that look easy as they'll bring down No Chance's Kunkka. All the rest of their teammates will pressure this tier 1 at bot. They're not giving it up for free though. Terrorblade is here, so is the Venge. The tower will stand. Top lane though, they will lose their tier 1 there. So eye for an eye it seems. Both sides losing the tier 1 on their safe lanes.
Padasa is up to 1400 gold. He's not actually had the best game, but he is inching closer and closer to that Blink Dagger. And despite Slada not being too farmed, I think Terrorblade's been having a great game so far.
Yep, no deaths on Terrorblade. Dragonlance is online. The only tool that BI now needs to start taking fights is that Blink on the Slaughter. So Padasa is going to be protected at all costs. Veil's already online for Swifty. We should see him building a dagger next.
Yeah, we saw in the last game as well, Beyond Infinity had a draft that could make quick work of Roshan, and they do seem to have that advantage this time as well with the amplified damage, but this time around, Invisible Wings have an answer for that in the form of an Elder Titan. So,
yeah, one thing that's worrying me though, Invisible Wings, they have this lock, which is basically their core of this game, or they carry this game. The best way to deal with Slugs is to have AoE lockdowns and crowd control spells. With the Dream Coil, the Waning Rift, and of course the Slaughter Crush, they've got plenty to go with it. And of course, the Kunkka board, it gives you the survivability to survive through the Slog's Pounce Leash. Alright, resume call is going to come out. Neither side losing their tier 1 at mid just yet. That's the most crucial tower to take down this game. It'll allow the other team, whichever team takes it, is going to have map control inside the enemy jungle. Well, no
50's
chance.
actually managed to complete Whale as well.
Yeah, but I mean, they do have decent amounts of magic damage between the Puck and the Kunkka. So the Veil is definitely going to add some value. But I think it's more for just the build-up and the stats that it provides.
Yeah, and it seems that most of their itemization is towards being able to fight as a 4-man group rather than a 5-man group. They need to make sure that Vengeful Spirit plus the Kunkka plus the Puck and the Slada are able to take on Invisible Wings in a 4 versus 5 scenario, so that leaves Terrorblade with all the space in the world to do what he does best. I mean, just Terrorbladey things.
Exactly, but Invisible Wings now looking for a pick-off with that Shadow Blade expended. They've seen the Terrorblade. Archmage is here. He has a point in the Natural Order aura as well. They're doing what they can. The Echo Stomp is there, and they'll get the kill with the Dark Pact and as well as the Shadow Dance. Pandemic scoring a kill on the position one on the other side, but the fight's not over.
But
Fiend's
Crowley
Grip into
gets
the Earth Splitter. Crowley, silent, sent into the air and brought down. It's a 2-for-1. They've lost 2 cores on the side of Beyond Infinity, but they're looking for more now as Invisible Wings is looking to secure their retreat. 1 TP out, and the second is there as well, while you'll see Pandemic scoring down towards the south side, making it a 2-for-1 as the dust settles. But even then, Beyond Infinity looking to take objectives. They'll do some damage on this tier 1, while unfortunately for Invisible Wings, there's no more tier 1 left at the bottom lane. All the while you've got Evil Ash going up top and looking to get some farm. He's picked up the Ogre Club for himself, so extra HP coming in there.
Yeah, unfortunately for Beyond Infinity, they don't really have too much in the way of tower damage apart from the Terrorblade. So even though they did manage to bring down the Crowley and they had an open path to the middle tier 1 tower, they couldn't really damage it too much.
So 6 and 4, Invisible Wings taking a fairly commanding lead here. 4,000 net worth going their way, 4,000 EXP as well. Beyond Infinity still looking to find their stride. Swifty with the haste though. Can they make something off of this? You do have Archmage waiting in the wings here, looking to start the fight with an Echo Stomp, but there's wards placed everywhere. A Radiant as well as a Dire Observer ward placed down in more or less the same spot. But they will find the D ward on the back of this sentry. We're seeing space being created here as Blizzard will be the one claiming the money at the bottom lane. Evil Ash has received farm priority at top. Not too sure why though.
And once again, the game has paused. Too many packets being lost today, boys.
Yeah, this definitely kills momentum that iWings must be building up. It takes a lot of discipline now to keep it together through all the pauses and breaks. But let's hope they can for the sake of a game 3 here in this best of 3 final. G. We're good to go. So Morbid Angels picked up the Yasha for himself on this Juggernaut. He's, I would believe he's going to go for the Manta style this game. Lots of value versus the silence from the Puck. Not to mention the amp damage from the Slaughter. Nice, he's going to go for the Diffusal Blade first.
I think, given that he's up against a Puck, it's most probably going to be a first item Manta style. Oh, he does need to be careful. They have thrown down the boat. It does connect, but unfortunately no follow-up on the side of Beyond Infinity to bring him down.
Yeah, he's fine for now. The boat not doing nearly enough. Parasai. This is, I mean, he's doing everything he can to get his Blink Dagger in good timing. Even farming Ancients with the amp damage now. But he's scared, man. They've used the scan. This smoke rotation has been scouted out. And Invisible Wings will find nothing, but the Dire Smoke will also scout out where Beyond Infinity is headed. Ancients. Now they've seen the amp on it. They're hoping that that Barasai comes back here. But Barasai, he's having none of that. That's his Blink Dagger. 15 minutes give or take.
Evil Ash actually has an Ogre Club in stash. Is he, not too sure, is he trying to rush a BKB or a Scepter?
Yeah, I can't for the life of me figure out what he's going with it, but
I mean,
he hasn't
even if it is a BKB, it's not too much of a problem for the Vengeful Spirit to just swap him and cancel the Fiend's Grip. And I think it's just far too early for him to be making a
Classic Beyond Infinity. Get the Blink Dagger, get the Dragonlance, pop a smoke, make a play. Badasai going in, Mob Angel, good reflexes. Crowley dodges it and does a significant amount of damage on his own. Both gonna cancel out the Fiend Grip along with the swap as well. Evil Ash, X mark, stunned up. Earthspinner's coming through. Crush gonna whip completely. What a complete mess of a fight there. Nobody dies. All spells were thrown, including a casual wall down there. But the tier 1 still stands. And both teams are not content at backing away just yet.
The boat did connect on A35 there, but unfortunately, as far as the Earth Splitter goes, it didn't really connect on anyone. But I do hear
behind though, you've got the Omni Slash coming in. You've also got Slot coming in. They'll get the kill there. Casual Sunder onto Pandemic. He'll be using the Dark Pact, the Shadow Dance to get away from there. So at the end of it all, everything was thrown. They got a kill on the support, Vengeful Spirit. And they're now still looking to take that tier 1 tower, which might be a little difficult, given that the Puck and the Kunkka are still in the vicinity. Next marks the spot. Are they going to commit on this
They do
game?
need to be careful. The Ghost Chip is off cooldown, so they don't position themselves well enough. They could just be caught out by an X-Mark Torrent and a Ghost Chip.
And that's exactly what they're going to do. They've recognized the threat, assessed it as well, and backed away. All the while, Pandemic just moves bottom and starts maximizing his farm. He's getting close to that Echo Saber. Okay, he has the Echo Saber finished up.
And I don't think Invisible Wings are going to be too worried about a farm game this time around. I mean, sure, the Terrorblade is pretty much free farming, but then you have two really strong cores on your side that are farming as well.
Yeah, I mean, the later this game goes, the more I start to favor Invisible Wings draft. It's sort of a similar situation to the last game, except that this time around, Invisible Wings does have tools that they can use to push down towers with the Juggernaut and the Slog. Lots of team fight control with the Doxier and the Elder Titan as well. It's just that the Bane, who I think is a bit of a misfit, but he seems to be doing his bit so far.
And not to mention, the stronger the Terrorblade gets, the more damage he actually deals to his own teammates as well because of the Darkseer present.
That is true, and there's going to be that point where Archmage will have the maxed out natural auto. That'll make the Terrorblade a lot more squishy, at least up until he gets a BKB. Alright, so BI not going to waste any more time. They want to take the fight on their terms. They're going to try and take this tier 1 at top, but they'll have to sacrifice their middle tier 1 in exchange. This is a trade that Invisible Wings will be very happy to take. Like we mentioned earlier, this allows them to move into the jungle from a secondary path as well. So, they're still looking to defend top. There's a TP from Morbid Angel. The Blade Fury buys enough time, but look at the damage! Man, that was disgusting. Amp with the Wave of Terror, along with Terrorblade doing his thing. They get the kill. Slaughter with a crush. X marks the spot into a silence. Are you kidding me there? Kunkka gets the kill on the Slog, and Beyond Infinity have all of a sudden decimated two of Invisible Wings' cores. It was miscommunication that led to their downfall in the last game. Perhaps it'll be the same story this time around. The swap cancels the TP out from an Evil Ash, and he's going to lose his life to the Puck.
That was just horrendous coming out from Invisible Wings. I mean, they were moving into position to try and sort of catch BI on their retreat, but I think Crowley thought he wouldn't be made. I mean, I think he thought he'd survive for a bit longer. I'm not too sure what happened there.
Yeah, that was...
Because Prophecy actually teleported to the tier 2 and not the tier 1.
I mean, he really didn't respect the damage output coming out. Maybe he didn't see the Slaughter in the vicinity. Maybe he assumed that there's TPs happening, but that was... I mean, there's no sugarcoating it. That was a misplay from Crowley, and it led to his team getting wiped. Pretty much wiped. So how does Invisible Wings hit the reset button here? They've just thrown away their golden EXP advantage. The Graphs are back to the break-even mark. And they've lost 2 towers on the top side of the map. Mid-tier 1, not looking too healthy either. So Invisible Wings, they've got to be careful about losing Roshan. We're seeing a smoke movement from BI. Will they catch out Pandemic here? No. Beyond Infinity, not going to get hasty with that smoke. Pandemic is in the vicinity. A35, he's walked up to them. Barossa is choosing not to blink in. Okay, I guess they didn't see him there.
Evil Ash still has that casual Ogre Club in his inventory.
More lags coming out. We feel the packet lost 2 on our screens. Archmage, I'm assuming he's going to go for the Yules. Already has the Windlace and the Sage's mouse picked up. So I'm thinking Roshan's going to be the objective for BI before they try and reach high ground. Possibly going to look to take that tier 1. And if they find a successful team fight, they could definitely move into the pit immediately after. Like you pointed out, there's lots of armor reduction with the Venge and the Slaughter, and tons of physical damage from Blizzard's Terrorblade, who now has a Manta style online.
Are you sure the Elder Titan is going to build into a use? I think there are certain items that he could prioritize over the use set. He could go for a 4-staff to sort of bring that extra bit of utility to his side. If the Slaughter does jump in with a Blink Dagger, does crush you, and Beyond Infinity does initiate upon you, you could just force your teammate out. Could also go for a Solar Crest. I think that works well against Terrorblade. Or he could just build a pipe. I mean, there's tons of magic damage on the side of Beyond Infinity in form of the Dream Coil and the Ghost Ship.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised if he went for either of those choices actually. Even the drums, just to get that early bit of sustenance, wouldn't be a bad choice for them. As for the Juggernaut, he did finish up the Manta style. That's more survivability in the face of the amp damage, but not so much when he gets stunned up. A35 has his Blink Dagger though, so watch for him to make some big plays. I'm not sure if he's revealed this. He's been in fog for the most part. Beyond Infinity, they're not just going to group up as 5 and walk towards the towers. They're hoping to find a pick off of their own. We're even seeing a smoke being called out before they make a play. So they clearly want to secure whatever little advantage that they can before they commit to a push.
Yeah, both teams are really wary of starting team fights because I think both teams have really excellent counter-initiating potential.
Yeah, but now we're going to see BI just waiting in the wings here. Well, invisible wings. They're grouping up as 5 as well, just allowing the Juggernaut to farm one step ahead under their own tier 2 tower. No objectives claimed. The fact that this tier 2 tower at top was just being left to its own devices versus creeps means that Beyond Infinity are smoked and up to no good.
Beyond Infinity might just look to force the issue once Terrorblade does manage to complete his BKB though. I think that item will spell the word go for Beyond Infinity.
Right, but Invisible Wings, different plans for them. They're going to pop a smoke of their own right now. It is going to be a BKB coming up for Evil Ash as he's picked up the recipe now. But we haven't seen any item pickups from Invisible Wings. I'm not sure what prompts this smoke movement. Possibly just timing it along with the scans coming off cooldown. But they want mid. They're showing themselves. Terrorblades continue to push out this bottom lane with his illusions. But BI, they're up to no good. They're gonna smoke and try for the wraparound here. Buck left on watchman duty here, just making sure that the tower doesn't go down quick enough.
BI has actually moved into the pit. I think they're content with forfeiting this tier 2 tower in exchange for a Roshan.
That's a trade they can agree with. I mean, okay, so the Metamorphosis was committed for it as well. Aegis will be held on to by the Terrorblade. If I'm not mistaken, the recent patch, basically the Aegis no longer works as it used to. If you're in Metamorphosis and you die once, you don't respawn with the meta still active. I may be mistaken about this, but either way, I still feel like the Terrorblade is the ideal candidate to hold on to it.
Yeah, and even though they did give up a tier 2 tower in exchange for a Roshan, Terrorblade just walked bottom and claimed a tier 2 tower of his own. So
yeah, this is a trade that still favors Beyond Infinity. They lost, well, in fact, they didn't even lose their tier 2 at mid. They lost nothing. They got the Aegis, they got a tier 2. And now all they've got to do is wait for the Metamorphosis to come back online before they can attempt a high ground push.
oh yeah, my mistake. Beyond Infinity actually still held on to their tier 2.
So I'm not even sure how they did it actually. Maybe they just saw the Roshan coming and going down and then they're like, you know
Yeah,
what?
I think Invisible Wings just got spooked when they heard Roshan drop.
Buck, 10k net worth on himself. He's got a Blink, Veil, and now almost has his Yules. Speaking of Yules, Elder Titan, still no item progression for him. He hasn't picked up anything over and above the Soul Ring and those 2 components of the Yules now. Morbid Angel, does he go for the Blink here? Or will he be picking up something that could defuse the blade instead? He needs armor.
Yeah, but armor could come in the form of an Assault Curious that your Darkseer could build into.
He's up to about 2.5k gold, so I assume he's going to go for the Greaves first. That also adds a little bit of armor in an AoE. At least when
Yeah,
you're on
or
the
he
retreat.
might just go in for a Shiva's Guard. I think that works excellent against the Terrorblade illusions as well.
Right, so beyond infinity, not making any hasty moves just yet. They're slowing down the pace of this game. Blizzard has his BKB, doesn't have enough mana though. Might want to make a base trip before they try and push.
Could we maybe see Crowley go for a second item Battle Fury? I think it's imperative they build something to sort of deal with this split push that's going to come out from the Terrorblade. And the Manta doesn't really help you out with that much.
Yeah, I gotta agree. He needs some way to actually start pulling up his net worth as well.
And you could go for a Maelstrom, but I think a Battle Fury is just a better choice when it comes to that.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I do think he's gonna prioritize the Blink Dagger though, to try and pick up the supports on the back lines. Top lane, they're pinging out the Puck. Puck has the Yules, almost impossible to kill now. If Puck gets a Lincoln Sphere, I think he's pretty much unkillable anymore. So Swifty, walking forward, the Yule set up onto the Bane. The Silence is there to follow it up as well, and with the Crush, Evil Ash is down. National Spirit Throne, Echo Stomp will not connect. That's a man down, and Invisible Wings will not hesitate to pop the Metamorphosis. Tier 2 just melts, and this is it. Beyond Infinity going for the Jugular as they walk up onto the high ground. Invisible Wings, can they mount a defense here? They're going to use the Fortification, 835. It's all going to boil down to him and the Elder Titan. If they can get a vacuum into an Echo Stomp, they might just secure this fight.
It is really crucial that Invisible Wings time their spells to perfection here. One misplay and Beyond Infinity could just walk away with one set of Raxes. We have to keep in mind that Terrorblade has an Aegis on him as well.
Morbid Angel.
Oh,
The
but
damage
there
is
jumps
taken.
an
There's a lot of
835.
lag coming out. I believe we're going to see a pause coming out soon, but there's the BKB. The Elder Titan already brought down the Venge. Terrorblade on the run. The Ghost Ship comes through. Connects on absolutely no one. Pandemic is doing his thing as well with a BKB of his own, and it's Blizzard that hits the deck without bringing anyone down. 3 down on the side of Beyond Infinity. The Aegis has been claimed. Archmage timing it to perfection again. Gets the Earthsplitter with the Echo Stomp, and with the Fiend's Grip. That's Blizzard going down to the grave. Invisible Wings with a 3-0 fight there. Might even get more if they can connect with the Echo Stomp. 50, not going anywhere. They'll pull him back and Slock will get the kill. It's 4 down. No casualties for Invisible Wings. The hold was successful.
That was excellent play by Invisible Wings. That is exactly what they needed to do, and they made sure that they executed that perfectly. I think Beyond Infinity were a bit divided in that fight because A35 actually dropped really low, and 2 heroes on the side of Beyond Infinity actually chased him for a bit. That gave Invisible Wings all the time they needed to sort of clean house on the Terrorblade.
Yeah, and it also looked like the Elder Titan managed to find the kill on the Venge on the backlines before anything happened, so no defensive swaps available in that fight. Unless he actually used it and I missed it. But now we're seeing Invisible Wings moving forward with the Vengeance. They have committed pretty much everything as far as their cooldowns go, but it doesn't matter.
This is actually a mistake that Beyond Infinity have made twice in the row. Once again, they've managed to render the Aegis useless, I'd say. Even in the previous game when Blizzard had the Aegis, he just jumped in and died in an instant. And this time around, they decided to force the issue when they really didn't need to.
Yeah, they got the pick off on the Bane, which in theory was perfect to try and reach high ground, but something happened. They were spread up badly. The Elder Titan managed to start the fight on their terms, and Invisible Wings took the fight there.
Yeah, the ideal play there should have been they got the pick off on the Bane. They claimed themselves a tier 2 tower, maybe drop some wards to get that added bit of vision in Invisible Wings jungle. Just back out, farm for a bit, pop a smoke, and go back in for round 2 if needed.
And now it's 4,600 gold on Crowley's Juggernaut. He still doesn't know what he's going for. Is it going to be a BKB after all here? Well, Pandemic, he did choose to get a BKB of his own before upgrading that Shadow Blade to a Silver Edge if that's what he's going to go for. But man, that BKB is working out for him.
No Chance has actually gone for a mech this time around. Normally when he plays the Kunkka, we see him go for an Aether Lens. That range extension on the X mark is just disgusting, but I think he realized that they don't really need that added bit of range this time around. And they have the bonus magic damage from the Whale on the Puck anyway.
Alright, so it will be the Diffusal Blade on the Juggernaut. So he's got a Diffusal plus the money for the buyback now. His damage output goes through the roof with the Diffusal Blade pickup. Also, the Purge with another source of lockdown versus, well, the Kunkka or even the Terrorblade for that matter if you can find him. Would be a great tool at their disposal.
Given that he's gone for a Diffusal Blade, I think his next few items in line would be maybe a Blink Dagger up next for the added bit of mobility, maybe followed by an Abyssal Blade for just that extra bit of lockdown.
Another mistake coming out here from the Terrorblade is he's choosing to go for the stat heavy build. He's going for the ultimate orb along with the Manta style and whatnot. Stats adds to your, they basically add to your base armor, and your base armor is rendered useless with Natural Order Aura level 4.
Yeah, but what else could he go for? Maybe he could go for a butterfly instead?
This is one of those games where an assault would actually add value to his life. I mean, butterfly is again raw stats, raw agility, which adds to base armor. Sure, he gets the evasion, but evasion doesn't really help much versus things like the Omni Slash. Blizzard still farming up, getting closer and closer to that Scotty. 2300 gold on himself, beyond infinity. Still looking for some plays here, but Invisible Wings are the ones that have found a fresh step here. They found their momentum. The graphs are starting to go in their favor for the second time this game. 7,500 EXP lead. Terrorblade still manages to stay ahead of the curve here as far as net worth is concerned.
Yeah, but speaking of Slark, who's second on the net worth list, he's actually picked up a BKB for himself, and he has 2,700 gold in the bank. That just means he's ever so tanky against this magic heavy lineup that Beyond Infinity has.
Right, I'm wondering what he goes for next. Maybe that Basher into an Abyssal Blade, or possibly even just the Eye of Scotty for the extra survivability.
Yeah, because you always have to keep in mind that you're up against a Slarda, so no matter how tanky you think you are, it's never enough. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see him going for a Scary next, but yeah, I do see the merits of a Basher into an Abyssal as well.
Right, so you've now got a Lotus Orb picked up on Barasai, which means that Bane's got to be very careful about the way he throws out his spells. But I'm thinking, is this one of those games where a BKB might have been the better choice? Right, so BI grouping up again. Looking like they want to pop a smoke. They do have two available, one on Zetisbug, one on No Chance. They're on a clock. Invisible Wings is starting to pull further and further ahead. Their cores are getting very strong right now. With the Scary pickup, Beyond Infinity are looking to make a play again.
I kind of do agree with the Lotus Orb pickup on Batasai though. I mean, if you do throw out your Lotus Orb on the Terrorblade, what does Invisible Wings really have to stop you?
I mean, the Echo Stomp into the Earth Spirit still
Echo
works,
Stomp
right?
can, but then you can't really Fiend's Grip because it'll just rebound on you. You can't put him to sleep either, and Crowley has to be ever so wary of initiating with that Omni Slash as well.
Yeah, that said though, I think the Fiend's Grip is a tool needed more to bring down Swifty than to bring down the Terrorblade this game. He's a slippery little sucker with the Yules as well as the Blink. He's going for the Taken as his next item, so they're relying on magic burst damage in synergy with his Veil.
Yeah, that's not too bad, I think. I mean, if he does manage to get the jump on heroes such as the Elder Titan or the Bane, he could make quick work of, well, not the Bane because Bane does have the BKB, so he is pretty tanky, but if they do manage to get the jump on the Elder Titan, that's a big factor taken out of the fight.
Alright, so double smoke, both teams smoked up. Crowley showed himself at mid, no chance. Thinking of starting off with the Torrent, but Morbid Angel runs towards the south. Roshan has respawned. And one fight here with Bean and Aegis as well. Lags coming out. Terrorblade gonna pop the pause button. Invisible Wings. Their movements are being scattered out here by this Radiant Observer ward. Shiva's God finished up on 835 as well. So they've got plenty of AoE damage coming out here. Many ways to deal with illusions now. Well, it does seem like the Juggernaut is going for an Eye of Scotty of his own. He's picked up the Ultimate Orb in addition to the Diffusal and the Manta.
Yeah, it seems like both teams are just looking to tank up and make sure that they aren't made quick work of.
Alright, here we go. The resume call comes out and Beyond Infinity are grouping up. He's using the Terrorblade as bait, but they're just sticking together here. Morbid Angel and Co will stay on the high ground. They've managed to find the D ward and immediately they will scatter. There's no mid tier 2 tower. Archmage running through a slightly dangerous position there. But this is not the Beyond Infinity we're used to seeing. They are looking like they're spooked. And they're grouping up a lot more than they should.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to say, that Invisible Wings are actually doing well to make sure that Beyond Infinity don't get their way this game.
Alright, but they're about to get the tier 3 tower. Lotus Orb on the Terrorblade. The tier 3 will drop. This allows them the freedom to move up onto the high ground with the Scotty. Plenty of damage dished out. 835 running forward with the Shivers. The vacuum. The BKB has been popped. He's caught 2 with the whack of the wall. The Earth Splitter completely off the mark while Pandemic is coming from behind. Zed is bugged, still not dying, swaps away, finally goes down to Evil Ash, who's just gonna melt to the Terrorblade. He puts himself to sleep. So far, it's a 2 for 1. Beyond Infinity loses the Kunkka as well as the Venge, while Pandemic is now duking it out with this Terrorblade. He's managed to pop the Mantis Tower with the showdowns. Pandemic still held in place with the Crush. The Omni Slash expanded, not doing nearly enough. Blizzard refuses to die, but now he's taking so much damage. He needs to be careful. The Spirit is there, the armor is irrelevant, and Morbid Angel brings him down. Barasai, is he gonna get the kill here or will he die? He'll die. As Puck,
just
the only
to get
survivor,
away.
runs. Okay, he doesn't run either. Easy team wipe. Invisible Wings. 5 and 2 in their favor. Another successful hold. It does cost them a tier 3 tower. They'll come out ahead. The net worth graph. Slowly but surely escaping beyond infinity. It's gone bungee jumping now.
Invisible Wings are just executing these fights flawlessly, and it seems like Beyond Infinity aren't really sure of what to do in the face of these BKBs.
Yeah, very smart decision making coming out from Invisible Wings, I have to say. Double BKB now. Probably going to see one coming out on the Darks here eventually as well. But I've got to say, huge props to 835 in that fight. Surging up behind, out of vision, running in with the Shivers got activated preemptively, and then he finds a 2-man vacuum wall, forces Terrorblade to use his BKB as well, and from there on out, yeah, the Slog coming in from behind, kiting around the fight and doing a ton of damage. For the first time this game, or the first time this series, Invisible Wings will claim the Aegis, and Morbid Angel will hold on to it with a freshly finished up Scotty. And then a pause. What's the next item choice here for Pandemic? He's already pretty much maxing out now. The courier, nothing on it. He could upgrade the...
he could go for a butterfly himself. I mean, that would force Terrorblade to build into an MKB, and Terrorblades generally don't want to do that. Not to mention, but I'm not too sure if he does want a butterfly because the Elder Titan already has a Solar Crest, so he could always throw that onto the Slug to give him that extra bit of evasion. But or he could just build into a Moon Shard.
Yeah, I guess a Moon Shard could work. Oh, again.
Or an Abyssal as well.
Yeah, the Abyssal Blade does seem like the ideal choice here, really. More lockdown would be great versus the Puck. They're still just relying on Bane to do his thing with the Fiend's Grip. But Puck is starting to prove to be he's proving to be a non-factor in these fights now. We're just not seeing him do enough. The BKBs are just way too much for him. Swifty has no impact in the face of them. And he's still going for magic damage with the Dagon picked up.
Yeah, and despite all the evasive items he has, they're actually doing pretty well to shut him down. And
yeah, I think that's the problem with the Puck. I mean, he's really good at staying alive, but over and above that, he doesn't really bring too much value, especially if you go for this evasion-heavy build. But it's Invisible Wings' turn to breach high ground now. Pandemic is not worried. He's got an Aegis. Well, okay, no, that's Juggernaut with the Aegis on himself for a second life. Pandemic has started to work on that tier 3 tower. There's the Dark Pact available. He's going to get X marked back in, but there's no follow-up there. And he'll bounce away.
this time around, Invisible Wings just seems so much more comfortable playing these heroes. In the last game, you had 835 in the Mirana. It's not a hero he plays too often. We had Prophecy on the Medusa. He is good at playing any hero, but I mean, Slark is one of his staples, and you can just see how comfortable he is playing that hero.
There's the Blink Dagger now finished up on the Juggernaut. And with that, he's going to be able to have the ability to jump into the fight and start it on his terms. Fire Scan's going to be used here, not scouting anyone out. Bottom lane, they've spotted out Archmage and they blow him up, so Elder Titan's going to be a freebie for Swifty and co. It's a killing spree taken up by the Puck. That's 50 seconds without him. Terrorblade pinging out the middle lane. They want to go for the range barracks here. and start this slow and steady push. Morbid Angel, he's found the real one with the Purge. He's doing damage here. Lots of armor, but the Omni Slash slicing and dicing through it. They do have the Sunder defensively used. Barasa is going to be the sacrificial lamb here. He'll be going down, but Morbid Angel uses the Manta. He's been sent into the air and brought down. That's the Aegis taken away. The Cavalry too far out to get in position quickly enough. No Blade Fury now, and that's going to be the Juggernaut just melting to the Scary Slow. That was not worth it for Invisible Wings. Crowley, the playmaker, the showman as always, but Blizzard using that Sunder, sacrificing his teammate and turning it
the real
around.
MVP of that fight. Let me take the fall for you, he says. He walks in range, tells Blizzard to sunder him instead, and
There's no buyback though on this Juggernaut. That's a full minute where Beyond Infinity can try and take down this range barracks. No fortification for another 20 seconds.
and
But
both these teams, they just don't seem to be making optimal use of their Aegis.
Metamorphosis, it's going to run out soon, but maybe with the Illusion Army they can still bring it down. Ghost Ship's got a really low cooldown, so they'll have that at their disposal too. But Juggernaut is clearly one of their main sources of damage. And without him, I'm not sure if the Slock, the Elder Titan, and the Darkseer are enough to hold.
They might be able to bring down the range Raxes, but I don't really think they could go for the melee Raxes without committing too heavily. You still have to remember that you're up against an Elder Titan, and if you are caught off guard, that's just a ton of damage coming your way.
Yep, indeed it is. I'm expecting Beyond Infinity to rethink this decision to try and battle down mid. Maybe they're just hoping to force out the buyback, but they're probably unaware of the fact that the Juggernaut doesn't have it. Apparently one game is unpausing. Here we go, Beyond Infinity. Still spreading their wings and looking to fly. Level 2 Dagon, or is that level 3 Dagon? Yes, level 3 Dagon finished up on the puck, so they could still blow up a couple of heroes if they completely if they manage to find the jump on Invisible Wings. But the Illusion Army has been expended, and they're looking to take this range barracks quite comfortably. There's the retreat. Pandemic comes through. Ghost Ship's thrown down, catches on no one. It's just going to keep No Chance alive a little longer. And Beyond Infinity says, nope, we'll sacrifice him and make a run for it. Pandemic surged up, looking to get in closer. There's Blizzard. They're running him down. They need one hit to connect. They've even thrown down the Dream Call. The vacuum is there. The BKB is popped. He does have a Sunder. He can't get it off though. The Fiend's Grip holds him in position. And they bring down the Terrorblade on the retreat. Invisible Wings looking for more. Beyond Infinity, Zed is about going to TP out. But this time, it's Terrorblade and Kunkka on the sidelines. It comes at the cost of their range barracks. But with
This
the
is
Juggernaut
the third time in a
respawning.
row that Beyond Infinity have actually overextended, and it has cost them dearly. So far, it's just been economic damage, but I think if they keep this up, this might just cost them the game.
Yep. It does look like it's slipping further and further away from them. Invisible Wings playing some pristine Dota at the moment. But can they take it to the high ground? That's the question here. It's 20 seconds without the Metamorphosis, so buyback on the Terrorblade won't really be that valuable at this point. Just going to try and slow things down with Puck jumping in time and again. And keep the creep wave at bay for now. 20 more seconds till the Terrorblade respawns. But another creep wave has joined the fray. Pandemic is going to work on the tower. Morbid Angel walks up to it as well. Swifty jumping in, jumps back out. Fortification to delay this as well, and now Beyond Infinity can fight. Terrorblade coming online in 6 seconds time. Invisible Wings will back away. Their objective was to try and force a buyback. That objective was unsuccessful, and they won't stick around longer than they need to. They need an Assault Cuirass though, desperately on the side of Beyond Infinity. That additional armor that doesn't add to the base armor value is what will keep the Terrorblade alive and healthy through the physical DPS onslaught coming out from Invisible Wings.
But should that really be his next item of choice? I mean, he's prioritized survivability so much that he's not really too heavy when it comes to damage.
I mean, it doesn't have to be him, right? Maybe the Slaughter builds towards it, or perhaps even the Kunkka picks it up. But yeah, Kunkka's getting no money, man. He's got about 1,000 gold and hasn't really progressed
there
on
doesn't
that
seem
mech.
to be an AC in Kunkka's near future. Parasai could pick it up, but I think he's gone for the 4-staff after the Lotus Orb. So
Okay, apparently his ear is hurting. I hope that's not our fault. Archmage, 4-star. He's going for one of his own. So yeah, I agree with this. I feel like mobility is what they're going to need up against Beyond Infinity. But Invisible Wings are still having a very hard time breaching high ground. They need to be able to find a kill on the Terrorblade in a way that he doesn't have the buyback. And that only happens if Beyond Infinity throws hard. 5.5k gold on the Terrorblade, possibly going to replace the Power Treads with the BOT before getting his next item. But what does he go for here? Is it a Butterfly, an MKB? Maybe even just a Moonshot first?
Yeah, these are just classic first world problems. You have so much money that you can't just can't decide what to go for next. I'm curious to see as to what Swifty goes for next. He does have a level 3 Dagon. Is he looking to max it out to level 5? Or is he looking to go for maybe a Hex for that added bit of control?
I mean, he's halfway there. He might as well just max it and be one of those forces to be reckoned with the burst damage. He knows he's doing no damage otherwise. The only source he has right now is that upgraded Dagon, so
yeah,
why
but
not?
I mean, Burst who? It's a Bane with a BKB. There's no way that burst damage does anything to Darkseer, Juggernaut, or the Slug. That's a 1200 HP Elder Titan. Surely it does bring down a chunk of his HP, but then he just stands so far back. If you jump in to try and Dagon him, you're just overcommitting.
But now Invisible Wing is the one finding momentum on this map. He's pushing on all 3 lanes. Their top lane is being pushed in by a Terrorblade Illusion, so that's the good thing about having a stat-heavy build. Your Illusions can do their own thing on the sides. Well, you as Terrorblade.
Yeah, I think
can
it's
go
time for
AFK
Beyond
farming.
Infinity to sort of adjust their strategy and their approach to this game. So far, what they've looked to do is group up as 5 because they think the Terrorblade is just so ahead when it comes to farm. But what they've realized 3 times in a row is that Invisible Wings actually have the firepower they need to deal with this. So maybe just go for a Boots of Travel next and play that split push game that can be a nuisance for everyone.
Another dire scan. Gonna scout out the fact that PI is farming Ancients. No chance in go. Farming up the jungle alongside Swifty, linking in. 2.4k gold on him, but they've seen a target here. Evil Ash. His Spidey senses tingle almost immediately and he backs away. They're playing blind though. Invisible Wings doesn't see anything in their jungle.
It's actually just one ward on the map from both teams.
Yeah, well, Blizzard did spend his money on the Butterfly. Which means we should see MKBs or Bloodthorns now coming out on the side of Invisible Wings. The only way that BI wins this is with bait and switch Dota again, man. They need to rat these towers. And Invisible Wings will not let them do it that easily. "44 minutes, 12-19. Still no significant plays being made. I think we're just a couple of team fights away from deciding the victor of this game. But neither side wants to commit just yet. Lots riding on the outcome of this game. If Beyond Infinity wins, they'll be your champions for Challenger Cup #1. If Invisible Wings win, we'll be going to a Game 3.
And as the game progresses and it's come close to the 44-minute mark, even the smallest mistake can potentially cost you the game.
And this is where decision making and the ability to curb your enthusiasm and curb your urges to throw is what really counts. Alright, Beyond Infinity, they're going in again. Terrorblade popping the illusions. They're going to use the X marks the spot to go forward as well. That tower is just melting as the real Terrorblade has been pulled back. Elder Titan gets the Echo Stomp off on just one behind. And the Invisible Wings can't let them come up onto the high ground again. That tower drops if they do.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to do that a second time around. The Elder Titan is in position this time.
Yeah, that
But
coupled with...
Crowley actually jumps in. Very fun. He needs to be careful.
Okay, Pandemic's on the front lines as well, so we're seeing them taking a fight here. Both gonna come through, connects, but the BKB doesn't pop. Buck gets the Darkseer, while Venge has gone down to the Darkseer himself. Pandemic's on the run. They can't let him go, else he's gonna come back with full HP, while Blizzard is getting chunked in. The Thunder is there on Evil Ash. Double kill for Swifty, and Invisible Wings are buying back now. Morbid Angel slicing and dicing will bring down Blizzard's Terrorblade, and suddenly it's Invisible Wings on the hunt. They've got two. They're looking for a third. They'll find it as well, and Crowley gets the triple kill. Beyond Infinity will be herded back to their base. And all it costed there was a buyback on the Dark Seal.
And these fights, I just don't know what to make of them anymore. For a second, it seemed like Beyond Infinity had the advantage, but as soon as the Darkseer showed up, blinked in, got the vacuum wall off, and Crowley walks away with a triple kill.
Alright, we're seeing buybacks coming out now, but the Terrorblade doesn't have the Metamorphosis. This is as good a time as any for Invisible Wings to seal the deal. Fortification is dropped. Invisible Wings looking for more. The X marks the spot. Not doing nearly enough. Tier 3 has gone down. Invisible Wings though.
Yeah, I think that was the best decision in that situation. The Elder Titan was nowhere near. He's back in base. It's best not to overcommit and lose the advantage that you worked so hard to create.
Right, it is a 7.5k net worth lead and a 20,000 EXP lead for Invisible Wings. They claim another Aegis for themselves, this time with the cheese in tow. And look at this. Beyond Infinity. Not gonna let this one go without a fight. We've got a BOT on Blizzard as well. He's TP'd in and is making his way there. Metamorphosis is coming back online. Swifty, is he gonna go for the steal here? He doesn't jaunt in. The Aegis gets claimed by well, okay, that was actually Juggernaut snatching it, but Elder Titan gets the slaughter. Blizzard's doing work. Evil Ash makes a run for it. He doesn't even die. Earthsplitter comes through, does some damage and no chance. Well, Blizzard's getting sliced to bits. The swap is there. Deathspark keeps him alive but doesn't keep himself. The Sunder on Morbid Angel. He has the Aegis, but Blizzard is down. 76 seconds without him, without a Metamorphosis. Beyond Infinity have been wiped off the face of this Dota map, leaving Swifty, the only one alive and well in the fountain. But this is it, man. Invisible Wings. All they've got to do is run through mid and claim these racks for themselves.
Yeah, that fight was just far too haphazard for Beyond Infinity. We spoke at the start of the game how Elder Titan excels in these constricted bottleneck situations, and that's exactly what happened. Blizzard does have the BKB, but there was just nothing he could do.
Yeah, that was an okay bro moment right there. Parker dropping down the Dagon on Pandemic, which just back up the full HP immediately. This is going to be Barracks claim. They're even doing it through backdoor regen. The Creep army has arrived and we're going to see another lane of Barracks taken down. They can't get Mega Creeps though on account of this tier 2 tower that's still alive. But they are going to claim 2 lanes of Barracks here. No buyback from the Terrorblade just yet. 70 more seconds without the Metamorphosis. Invisible Wings can just go throne here. But they won't. They'll back away. Disciplined Dota is the name of the game. There's a massive creep wave up top as well. Should be able to bring down this tier 2 tower. One step away from victory here in game 2. Invisible Wings about to even the odds. They've taken the lead now with 2 lanes pushing into the Radiant side. Beyond Infinity will have to pull off nothing short of a miracle here if they want to claim game 2.
In all fairness, we have seen them pull up quite a few miracles, but I'm just not sure if this is one of those moments.
Yep, they have to fight outside their base now. They have no choice. There's a butterfly on the Juggernaut and there's nothing to go through the evasion on their side though. Slock, he picked up that MKB preemptively as well, spotting out that butterfly on the Terrorblade. And once again, the proverbial calm before the storm as we've got a pause. I-Wings will look to breach high ground. They still have the Aegis and the cheese. RIP guys, looks like we're disconnecting too.
Yeah, well, at least the game is paused. It's not one of the situations where you try to mount a push and then reconnect only to find yourself in base.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's just us though that, okay, looks like everyone apart from you is disconnected. Cool, we're back in, players are reconnecting. Should have this game underway soon enough. Alright, Sid, is there any way that Beyond Infinity comes back from this?
Yeah, truth be told, I really think Invisible Wings have already claimed game 2 for themselves.
Right, it would take a monumental throw for Invisible Wings to give this one up. But, you know, I've actually heard that they've done something similar in the past versus Beyond Infinity. I've heard they did something when they had like a 30,000 net worth lead. Beyond Infinity managed to keep their cool, managed to come back from it. So, who knows, man? This could be one of those games in the making.
But yeah, let's say even if we were to hypothesize English is too hard, but what could Beyond Infinity possibly do to actually change the tide of things? The Terrorblade is pretty much 6-slotted. He could sell his Dragon Lance and go for maybe a stronger item. Slada has gone for the utility build in the form of the Force Staff and the Lotus Orb. He's chosen to forego the BKB as well. Vengeful Spirit and Kunkka don't really seem to have any items in the horizon. And Puck, he's gone magic heavy as well. And as we've seen time and time again, this magic heavy burst damage sort of strategy isn't really working in Beyond Infinity's favor anymore.
Yeah, but one thing I want to point out is the Archmage's job here is just so easy right now. His job is to put the Astral Spirit, throw down the Earth Spirit, and just keep the Astral Spirit on the Terrorblade through the fight. Just burst onto Pandemic, but he's the wrong target to be focusing with the dig, and he can just go back, heal up, and come right back in. BI trying to delay this, but they can't do diddly squat here. Invisible Wings just gonna apply momentum on the middle lane before coming back to claim this last lane of racks. $5,200 gold on the slot, by the way. He hasn't consumed the Moonshot yet. We should see him buying that out next.
This has to be frustrating for the players, man. It's just pauses after pauses.
Yeah, casual smiley faces being thrown out there. Bharat. Hashtag Digital India, guys. Let's all tweet Modi saying, please fix internet. Or use the dietide meme, give internet.
Give achhe din.
Okay, final hurrah here. Invisible Wings moving up. They've taken tier 3. BI. Let's see if they can pull off a miracle here. Wings back, down for the count. No fortification. Terribly with the metamorphosis. Invisible Wings, if they really feel like turning the knife in with, hold that thought, Evil Ash, losing his life, still alive though, the Greens and the BKD, he comes right back in, but the Lotus up prevents the Terrorblade from getting caught out there. What the heck is happening here? I just saw Terrorblade flying around there, but he's walked forward, gets the Bane, but behind, it's Crowley, slicing and dicing through Beyond Infinity. 4 down, a buyback from the Puck. Terrorblade man fighting his way through this, but the Elder Titan walks up to him, and he does get taken down. And this should be it. The GG gets called. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to a Game 3 in this grand final at the ESL India Premiership Challenger Cup number 1.
That was just pristine play from Invisible Wings. They were quick to identify everything they did wrong in game 1. They adjusted their strategy and their draft accordingly, and we can quite evidently see the result. Beyond Infinity did have a great start to the early game, but I don't know, could you just attribute it to wrong itemization or just superior play on the side of Invisible?
I want to say that the draft had a bit to play in it as well. I mean,
I think
Terrorblade
that,
versus the Elder
draft sort
Titan.
of peaks early with Terrorblade sort of left to be the only lone ranger towards the late game.
Right. So let's see if Beyond Infinity has what it takes to go all the way, or if the underdogs, if I may call them that, Invisible Wings, can take the match here. We'll see you guys in a little bit. Game 3 coming right up. Stay with us.